posted on the website for quite some time to go through this morning, as well as to go through some nominee speeches for our secretary position, along with, if necessary, appoint election committee and look at any new initiatives. So jumping to item number 2, for bylaws changes, this was posted on the website. This has to do with nominations, elections, and voting procedures change. The wording. Proposed change, the current language says there shall be a secret written ballot taken and an election committee of 3 appointed by the president and shall count the which shall count the votes. Okay. If there's here's the proposed change. If there's a single nominee for any office, that officer may be accepted by acclamation if there is more than one nominee. If there is no, is it more? Okay. If there is more than one nominee on the ballot, there shall be a secret written ballot taken. An election committee of 3 appointed by the president shall count the votes. Hopefully that makes sense to see. The rationale is if there's only a single nominee for a position, there's no point of going through the process of voting with a paper ballot. This will save us time and paper on elections. Is there any need for any time for discussion? I'll accept a motion to accept the proposed bylaw change. First by Dana Abbott, second by Don Mason. All in favor of the proposed amendment change? Aye. The motion carries. Okay. So we will not need an election committee today because we have only one candidate for the position of secretary. The second bylaw change has to do with membership types and eligibility for membership. Okay. Currently it reads regular members are those who are or have been actively engaged in coaching swimming, diving, or water polo in a public or independent intermediate secondary school who meet the financial obligations of the association. Proposed change. Regular members are those who have been actively engaged in coaching, swimming, diving, or water polo in a public or independent intermediate or secondary school who meet the financial obligations of the association. The financial obligations to the association may be met either by payment of membership or by payment of All-American applications in excess of the cost of membership. The rationale is each year non-member coaches submit All-America applications with payments in excess of the cost of a membership. It is reasonable to assume that these coaches were unaware of the benefits of becoming a member. This proposal is being made with the belief that the coach who receives this benefit will join the association in the future. I'm going to ask Tim to describe some situations that currently exist that we're finding currently, because he's the one who put forward this. So
an example came across this morning. We have a non-member coach who submitted 4 All-American swimming applications and spent $160. If she was a member, she would have spent $75. That's really what I'm looking at. So it being in the position of treasurer and All-America chair, I see these come through. It's easy to gather the information that we need for membership. And we're not talking about refunding any excess for this year. We're just saying if they're doing that and getting, let's say, 2 applications, so that's $80 exceeds $75, grab their information, put them in the database, hope that next year and they get the journal and these things. So that's what is being proposed.
I have a question.
You have a microphone in your
You're all at my mercy now. First question, is this just All-American, or is this all across the spectrum of All-American applications, academic, and et cetera?
It's
It's across the spectrum.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Given our boys coach is not a NISCA member, and every year he asks me to fill out his academic All-America things, and I tell him no, join. So he says, no, well, I'll just have the school pay the fee. And so the school ends up paying the fee for him. And so what'll happen is the school will end up paying for his membership, but not mine. Now that's little personal, rubs me raw, but so I wouldn't say carry a lot of weight on that one. But
So what's the argument?
Yeah.
Why don't you let him lose your number?
he should be a member, period. He should be a member of the NISCA conference, of the NISCA membership, even when he's not going to go to the clinic or not going to have an award. Not just, hey, I'm going to be good this year, I'm going to be a member.
But you're saying the school is paying for his membership.
No, they will pay for they'll pay for the All-American so the kids get him. Which what we're saying is, okay, now he's going to get the membership and not pay for it.
The school's paying for his certificate.
Right, for his All-American applications as a non-member. They pay the extra fee.
And then he gets a membership.
And now we're going to make him a member.
For his, he gets one.
But now,
Sounds like he doesn't want one, so.
well, he doesn't need to come to conferences and clinics. He is just an outstanding coach. That's his perspective. That you can't learn anything. So that is just a burr under my saddle.
Is that because the school will not pay for your membership?
Yes.
It's more that
I mean, is that the case? The school will not pay for your membership?
school won't pay for anything for me. I'm a non-staff coach. He's a staff coach. So they pay for a lot of his stuff and not mine. But like I said, I'd say that's more a personal burr.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to oppose the change. I'm just.
Any other discussion?
My question is would this be better as a policy than as a rule? As a rule, it sounds funny to me, but as a policy, if we just do it, especially as our treasurer, just as a policy, if you're paying more, why don't we give you an honorary membership for that year in hopes of encouraging you?
I mean, I don't think you can just give out memberships. That's why we have
It's a funny bylaw, though. You're not going to do it, and we're going to give it to you anyway. That's not what I want to have as our bylaws.
Peter?
I guess the only thing I would ask is, do we in fact know that that person that sent in those applications is a
More than
coach? No, is a coach.
No.
And then what happens if it's a parent?
As a coach on the application.
But we don't know, in fact, it wasn't somebody else that filled out that award, that application. Doesn't say, I mean, they can lie all they want. But that's what I would worry about, is that they may not be a coach.
And diving parents fill out applications, and they go over that $75.
We did this, I proposed this when I was All-American Chair in the 90s for the same problem. I felt Germantown was sending in 100 applications and they wouldn't join. So, I was saying this is ridiculous. Let me put them in as a member, get them in as a member. It was voted down. But I do agree with what you say.
Sometimes parents are paying for the All-American fee.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
they
also,
fill out the application, but they don't have any money. Like there's another gal with swimmer, probably All-American 2 events. Parents probably paying the $80.
I also in my zone in Michigan have run into parents of swimmers on other teams who earned academic All-American awards, and their coach isn't a member. And they ask me about it, and I say, I can get you the application, and they fill it out and send it in with the fee because their coach won't bother. So we'd collect some of those up probably as well.
But if you're doing academic and it's your kid, that's $40. Even if it's
Right.
a late fee, that's 70.
Mhm.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about multiple.
Sorry.
We're talking multiple applications, and we're talking about. My thought is, it's a way to actually increase membership. Let them see Dana's great journal, and lure them in, hook them for the next year. That was my thought on this. We get a bunch of times it happens. It happened today again. Berger Catholic in New Jersey, and 4 applications, 3 guys, 1 girl. So I looked at it as a way to increase membership with really no cost to us and maybe getting some goodwill.
One of the things in section 1 is currently stands, and which is not going to change if we accept this in some form, is that this would not apply to some parent sending in the applications, because you'll see that it does say who are or who have been actively engaged in coaching, swimming, diving, or water polo. A parent is not that person. So it would have to be someone who qualifies as a coach first and then is submitting payment for those.
So the membership chair, the treasurer, the All-American chairs are the ones who need to, like this one that you got today, Tim. Does he then have to investigate to see that this person is a coach?
I would think that would be in line.
So that is done by the All-American chair?
No, done by their boss.
I don't, you know, it seems like his workload is over. You might actually have to do something.
Mark, give it to me.
No, I'm wondering, what's the procedure? How's it gonna work?
Well, I would envision that I would take the email address off the application, or if I saw it on one of Marnie's, I'd ask her for their email address. I'd send an email saying, Coach, I saw that you submitted multiple applications. I'm going to enter you as a member so that in future years, you know,
I would call it honorary member. We're gonna give you an honorary
No,
member.
they have a
Is that-
definition
we
of
have that
honorary
already.
member, and that is not it.
Those are actually kind of provisional member, honor
We're gonna give you.
provisional.
well, it's costing us very little, and it's getting us the possibility. Now, the other advantage of this is they get Eve's newsletters. They get those. They're going to start getting those reminders, renew your application, whereas right now they're not on any list we have.
What about, would almost go there and maybe go there, reply to them saying, hey, you realize that if you had joined, it would have cost you less. We're going to send you a copy of the latest journal to see what you get. Put you on our mailing list so that you get the renewal notice. And we don't call them a member. We just put them on the list. That way they see a copy of the journal. They see they're on the mailing list getting the reminders. Just thought.
So, practically speaking, in order to get the journal or to get on the list for reminders, you have to be on the membership list, because that's what we use. It's what Dana and I use to send our stuff out. So if you're
okay with that, what I'm saying is, reply to them when you see that situation. Don't tell them they're a member. Say, hey, it would have cost you less if you were a member. That way my athletic director, actually our athletic secretary, will get that email and say, why aren't we doing this?
right. So my concern is if you send an email that says you are now a member, are they going to come back and say, well, then I would like the amount in excess of my membership refunded.
Well, but then you just send an email and say, sorry.
No.
No, don't tell them you're a member. Say, if you have, go ahead and put them in. But don't say, hey, you're a member now. Say, just want to let you know, once you realize that you've now paid more than the membership would have cost you.
I don't want to be deceptive. I don't want to, right? Being upfront and saying, here's a membership because of this. And you notice nothing in there said we're going to refund them the difference between it. So they did pay, they thought they should pay. Tom's got it.
Go to Tom and then go to Don.
Will we be is it okay?
And he's not a member, didn't pay $75, paid $100 and something. Can't we just give that person complimentary membership? I see, this is really what you want to do.
Right.
Because I see that $5 being over.
Plan on refunding the difference. Okay. I see that as perhaps a problem when the coach comes later and says, well, take the 75, but give me back the other. So I would accept it and then send a note back, because you overpaid, we're going to issue a complimentary membership for the remainder of the current year, so that they don't have the recourse of saying,
Well, now I'm a member.
Right.
Get my money back.
I could recall a school in Florida paying, I think, $700 in All-America applications, because the coach didn't pay the $75. That's a lot of money, but schools, especially private schools, are willing to spend that kind of money for All-America status, if you get what I'm saying.
There's a school in Indiana
Mhm.
Yes.
this year, last year.
Absolutely.
Yep. Spent over $1,000 because they are really good and forgot to do it.
And you end up walking anyway. How many journals would you actually get if you filled it out like now, where they're all doing it, and we get them on the list? So we're doing all this so that they get 2 journals and then say it's so good, I got to sign up?
We're
Is
doing
that-
it so they realize this is a benefit, because when they start getting
Granted,
these-
but practically speaking, we're doing a lot of work. We're making them a member. We're putting them in here. We're getting the list to Dana, and then they get 2 journals and say, okay, now I'm going to sign up.
That would be for winter season. If it's fall season, you get
Yeah.
more. If it was spring season.
You get none.
Get one.
You get
The
none.
reason is, it's not a lot of work for me.
Right.
I see it, I can grab the info.
I'm not opposed to it. I just practically looking at all the unintended consequences.
We're looking to boost membership, that's what I was saying.
Well, and the journal printing is less per issue the more we print.
But the bottom line is, the total is still greater.
Yeah, the total.
I think there's 2 issues here. One is, as Greg Brace pointed out, some schools we know will not pay for professional membership. And we want the coach to join and pay for his membership. But if the coach knows that they're going to get this stuff paid for by the school for their applications, but not pay for their membership, then they're probably not going to want to dig in their own wallet and pay for a membership, even if it's saving the school money, because it's not coming out of their pocket. Second thing is, if you've got a parent, as Don said, like diving parents send in a lot of applications, they're not a coach. Some might be, club coach, but they're not actively engaged in school coaching. And I don't think we want to give a membership to a parent, because the first thing about regular membership is you are or have been actively engaged in coaching one of our sports in a public or independent school. So I think the language right now needs some massaging. I would recommend tabling this proposal and maybe discuss it later. But I have total support for contacting the person who submits these applications, saying, thank you for submitting your applications. Did you know that if you were a member, these would not have cost you anything except the cost of your membership? And let them know about that. But I think we're going to run into problems with people asking for refunds, which we certainly don't want to deal with, and giving a regular membership to someone who may not actually be a coach. That's my thought.
If we reach out, it's going to be more work, because they are going to say, then can I join? It's before the deadline. And can you refund my money? I have reached out. I reached out this year, and that's the response I got.
But our policy is, once you put in the application, we're not refunding you the money.
Understand, but I think as soon as I reach out and say it would have been free, they say, then can I join and can you refund?
Or tell them we hope that you will consider regular membership for the following year, because in that case, your applications would have been at no cost.
And
For
it's
the following year.
And as for the coaches or the parents, when we see Johnny Smith, Apple Tree Lane, Mrs. Smith, Apple Tree Lane, it's pretty easy to know it's a parent. And so I don't think that distinction between parent and coach is as hard as, it's not hard to make.
In diving, you have a lot of parents who are coaches.
What calls tomorrow?
So I have a question on the website. When you pay for an All-American app, it says, members 0, non-members, whatever the dollar amount is. Does it, in that section, does it say how much a membership costs? Because you might solve the potential of somebody wanting to be a member to save money. You might solve that by putting the membership costs on that piece of the application, where that way, if somebody knows I'm doing 4 of these, they each cost me $20, a membership only costs $75 or whatever it is, they would be able to do that math really quickly. Then they might back out of the application, become a member, and then we can catch those people that are willing to save their own money by becoming members.
Well, we sometimes find that they will fill out the applications and get to the very end and then realize, oh, I wanted to be a member. And then they're stuck, and we end up with this, they haven't paid for applications, and then they're going back out and trying to join, and then we're having to go back in.
We have a lot of flags set up in our system. When you go to PayPal and enter, and it's adding them up, we could have a flag saying, if you're a member, the fee would be less. Not that Dick will be happy saying that, but
Currently, when you start an application, the first thing to ask for is your member number. And if you say, I am not a member, it pops up a thing and says, if you are a NISCA member, your applications will be free. Go do your NISCA membership. Now, I don't know. We could add that on there, and I think that would be helpful. However, that does assume that coaches read the pop-up messages.
We don't want that flag of diving. That's not correct.
So, yeah. But yes, anytime, at least for swimming and academic, I know it pops up. If you are not a member, it will pop up and say, if you were a member, these applications will be free. And yeah, I'll check and make sure that we get the membership fee on that note.
Eve, on that, does it say that the caveat, these would be free as long as they are submitted before the submission deadline?
Yeah.
Because you have to be careful.
I don't know what the note says. We can look at that.
Okay.
I'll try to remind Dick about that. Okay. Any other discussion?
Okay. All right. So, closing discussion. Do we have a motion to table? We have a motion to table. Do we have a second to table this? Second from Tom to table. All in favor? Okay. Opposed? Okay, so this motion currently is tabled. Eve, typically, when do we bring this back up for further discussion? Next year or into meeting 3?
I think probably next year, because it sounds like we need to do some changing of wording and
Okay.
some other stuff. So it will go on the website for the 2025.
Okay, so this is going to be tabled for 1 calendar year. All right, so back to the agenda. All right, so Eve, would you like to do a nominee speech this morning, since you are our sole?
I promise to do what I've been doing for the last 12 years. What are you gonna do, fire me?
Okay, since we have agreed to the first proposed amendment bylaw change concerning the vote by acclamation, there will not be a need for an election committee to be appointed. Do we have any new initiatives that we need to address? Okay. All right, at this time, we're going to take a short break before jumping into meeting number 3. Tom, this is your opportunity. Please get your, I'm sorry. Motion to close, motion to adjourn? Thank you, Don. We are adjourned. Meeting number 2 is closed.
$27. $28. Oh, no, not her again. 20. 15. 6. 16. 22.
Meetings in a row. That doesn't.
13. 8. 31. 17. 21.
A lot of people sleeping in.
30.
Right, we're all done. And
10. 11.
oh, and we gotta talk about the site.
12.
29.
What'd you get, Tom?
5.
Oh.
23. 2. 25. 18. 1. 7. 3. 26. 24. 19. 9. 14.
There you go.
24. Did you call them? Call number 12? Okay. I don't really need it.
Whenever you're ready. We're already at 8:35, so we gotta get through.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's settle back down again. We're going to call meeting number 3 to order. It's 8:36 in the morning. All right. We do not have any unfinished committee reports. We've already voted on the constitutional/bylaw change concerning the vote by acclamation. We do not have any old business pending. We do not have any new constitutional proposals that were delivered within the 24-hour for consideration. So we are now on the election of secretary. We have a vote by acclamation. How do we handle that? How is that worded typically?
I don't know.
Motion to,
Move we accept acclamation.
do we have a second? Second, Don Mason. Mike Schulte, third. All in favor? Eve, congratulations. Your term has been extended. Woohoo! All right, so on to at the last convention, we had voted on moving the convention for 2025 to June. We have been working on, let's see, slideshow. So these are the proposals the executive board came up with for moving away from the NCAA for June of next year. We're looking at the week of June 22nd, 2025. We researched and thought about 4 different possible locations. The rationale for moving this to begin was Federal Way, Washington was not conducive to host the clinic. The hotels were extremely far away from any sort of ability to be near a swimming venue for those who even would want to go to the swim meet. Our belief is that if we move this and attempt this to do this after the school year ends, it would afford more coaches an opportunity to attend and possibly be able to bring their families along to do part of a vacation schedule. Also, moving off the NC2As would allow us a more condensed and compressed schedule. We would not have to take the breaks that we normally do to go to prelims or finals. We could also have a little bit more flexibility as to the days of the week we could use to get better hotel rates. Right now, typically running into the weekend, the cost for reserving hotels for conventions, conferences is a lot more expensive. So we could possibly move to a Monday through Wednesday system. As I said before, concurrent family vocation, and then also provides us the flexibility of selecting locations. We look at possibly making this a rotation if this works, go and start one location, then move to another part of the country. So we're not just focused on always having it in one city. So our condensed conference schedule would be something similar to this. Where we'd have our audit committee, All-American cheerleaders, rules committee all in a row. We'd have our letterman lunch on day one. Then we'd open up registration for the membership. Day two, we'd have our NISCA meeting 1. We'd have our speakers. We'd do 3 speakers on the first day to have an All-American general meeting, have lunch, and then by 2 o'clock, you could have a break. We do some sightseeing around wherever city we're in. And then at 6 p.m. on day 2, have our professional awards banquet. And then day 3, we conduct NISCA meetings 2 and 3. We have our 4th speaker. We could do the rules forum and workshop. Another speaker, lunch on your own, and have an optional excursion time or head home after that, as well as a social. We researched these 4 cities initially as possible sites for conducting a convention. We looked at Traverse City, Michigan, San Antonio, Fort Lauderdale, and Denver. We narrowed it down to these 2 sites. The rationale behind it, Traverse City, Michigan at this time of year is extremely expensive. The hotel rates were astronomical for going up there. Fort Lauderdale, we had hoped to possibly use the Swimming and Diving Hall of Fame. However, their construction schedule is behind. So they're expecting it to be at least 2 years before the Swimming and Diving Hall of Fame complex area is finished off.
When is the museum open?
At least 2027 right now. Yeah. The pool is open, but all the buildings surrounding it are getting demolished right now. Still has a hideout. You can get your triple Indian. So when we were looking at, we had Tom go ahead and start reaching out to get costs for the various hotels in certain the areas, and this is typically what they were running. The Denver area, we looked at these locations. Price range was between $189, $289. San Antonio, the ones we were looking at, were between $179 and $189. Now, the San Antonio locations are not in downtown San Antonio. They would be much higher. They'd be more comparable, even higher than the Denver pricing that we were finding. But they are still, all of these hotels are relatively close to other attractions around the city. The Denver ones, Courtyard Cherry Creek, Embassy Suites, we'd be looking at any of these. Cost for travel, I think we have on the next slide. These are the things to do in the various cities. San Antonio has a zoo, Riverwalk, their Botanic Gardens. They have Topgolf nearby. They have golf, regular golf. They have Six Flags, SeaWorld. Denver has art walks. We have the Mint Tours. We have Red Rocks Amphitheater, City Park, Children's Museum, Urban Hikes. You can go up to Rocky Mountain National Park.
Rocky Mountain National Park is 2 hours away from Denver.
Okay. I'll delete that one later. But there's the ability to visit other. There's also Elitch's. It's like a Six Flags in downtown Denver area. There are things, comparable things to do with your family in either of these two cities as our initial thoughts. Weather. San Antonio's a little bit warmer, obviously, due to its location. Possibility of rain, maybe 4 days of rain in June, 5 days of rain possibly in July. Last year, I don't think we had any rain in June or July. Denver, possibility of rain. They're usually pretty quick showers. Temperature is a little bit better at 86 July. It's 92. Airfares that we looked at currently, based on what we can find for flights right now, this is your typical range. A little bit cheaper to fly into Denver, but your hotel costs were a little bit higher. A little bit more expensive to fly into San Antonio, but the hotel costs were a little cheaper. So they kind of evened out. Either one of the two cities, your total overall cost will be relatively similar. The other considerations, rental cars would be required at those locations or Ubering to wherever your location is. Letterhead would need to arrive 1 day earlier than non-letterhead attendees instead of the several days that we do currently. Schedule would allow participants to leave on the afternoon of day 3 if they could not find a flight. There's also the possibility of adding diving water polo tracks with 2 speakers each, one on each day. Both cities are family friendly. Excursions would be optional for coaches to get together socially. We'd just be able to spread the word a little bit more to get coaches to attend. We'd like to get 100 coaches to the conference. And if it doesn't work, we can always look at something else at the conference next year as another opportunity. We want to go back to a different schedule. But this is what we were able to put together as a group. So, open for discussion. Dana?
Two things. One, San Antonio is a lot closer for you and me, obviously, make it real easy, but San Antonio is pretty hot in the summer.
It does get hot.
Very hot. Been there many times in the summer. Not altogether pleasant. The other thing, Trey, are you understating things again? The other thing is, were we considering perhaps Colorado Springs because of the Olympic Training Center, reaching out, maybe somehow partnering or working with them, because that is a fantastic location for those of us who have been to coaches' colleges there. You got the Air Force Academy, Garden of the Gods, Pikes Peak. I think someone told me there's an air museum near the airport.
There is.
So I'm just wondering, did we consider Colorado Springs? And if not, could we?
Good question.
I think if we were able to offer something that included the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Center, I think that might be more of a draw than just Denver.
Okay.
My 2 cents.
Just a question. So after next year, are we going back to Atlanta?
We would have to vote on at the conference next year.
For the,
For
I
the
think the
next
schedule
location.
said women's or
We were
whatever.
thinking of a rotation if it worked well. If not, it's always set up in our bylaws that the next annual meeting will be decided at the convention, at the conference.
Okay.
So that's where the discussion would be open.
So
to
this
after.
kind of be a 1-year trial.
This is a 1-year trial to start with.
Yeah. Yep. Unless at the conference next year, it gets voted that we move it away from the NCAAs again.
Right.
So we would we would have time to start researching for hotels in, where are we, Atlanta in 2026, so that we would have that prepared just in case.
I do like Dana's idea about getting something that involves swimming, whether it's the U.S., the U.S. Olympic Training Center, or, some area where something's going on that we can do something with swimming. At least that wasn't me this time.
I think Colorado Springs is near the Air Force Academy,
Yes.
which might be a draw. And we
Any other-
could investigate Colorado Springs.
Pardon, Tom?
We could investigate Colorado Springs.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any other thoughts?
I guess one of the big draws that we used to have when we had 100 at this meeting is that we used to have vendors, and that was a big draw. You could come to the clinic, the convention, and go home with things from Speedo and all because we had quite a few at one point. The other thing might be, how about a golf tournament? Again, we're trying to draw people in, maybe the day before, but it's something to think about. And the last thing I would say is this, is that if we could have a clinic where there's a pool. I know ASCA, for a lot of times if they're out in San Diego, there's a working clinic out in their pool. So that might be something else to think about.
I would like to speak to the vendor situation, because as a potential vendor, what? Louder? Okay, sorry, Dana. As a potential vendor, if you don't have at least 100 coaches at this clinic, I'm not coming. And you need to have 100 coaches that are not retired. That was the problem, and that's why we quit. I love you guys, I do, but that's why we quit coming, because you don't buy anything if you're retired, because you don't need anything. So if you want vendors at the clinic, you have to get at least 100 not retired coaches coming to the clinic, which is the hope for this next year. And then if we get that, then we can say to all of our vendors and our partners, hey, we're going to have 100 coaches. It's going to be worth it for you to be here. And then we can actually make it look like a for real clinic instead of a business meeting.
My thoughts are, if we're trying to do a clinic and get 100 coaches, I think our chances of getting that done are much, much higher to do it in Texas, because the Texas organization is so strong. If we're looking to go somewhere that has, that we're going to actually get coaches to come, I don't think people are going to come to Colorado as readily. And Colorado, their swim coaches association is pretty much non-existent. So if we're trying to build a very nice workable clinic, which I think is our goal, I would think Texas is much better overall than doing something in Colorado.
I have a question for a vendor.
Yeah.
Vendor question. As it currently stands, how would you feel, assuming you weren't actually sitting here, but one of our vendors that doesn't actually attend, if we said, hey, well, how would you feel about donating a door prize, a $10 giga?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. I just missed them.
Well, it's not, some of our partners have it in their contract that they donate stuff. That's everything that's in your bag came from Hasty. And that was something that it was part of their vendor contract. But for us to be able to say, hey, when I get a number count, it looks like when I open registration, suddenly we're at 60 coaches. I can reach out to our partners and say, hey, we're at 60 coaches. Would you like to put a discount QR code on a flyer that we can put in the bag? Would you like to send a tempo trainer to put in all of the bags? Yeah. That absolutely would be something.
Just a tempo trainer as a door prize.
Sure.
One.
Yeah. Yep. Because that's a lot cheaper from a vendor perspective than having to fly out and stand around for 3 days, wherever it is. Yes.
Any other thoughts? Okay.
Even though I said San Antonio is hot, it's not like we'll be having our meetings outdoors. So.
Probably call for a motion.
Call for a motion for site location. Well, I mean, the question becomes, do we want to amend the description to state Colorado, either Denver or Colorado Springs, based upon costs for the first site and then San Antonio for the second? Are we good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody might propose a motion.
Second.
Okay.
I heard. So moved.
Okay.
For that.
For that, so do we have a motion for going to Colorado, either Denver or Colorado Springs? I do not hear a motion to go to Denver.
Thought that was part of the first motion. Thought that was part of
He
what you.
can't propose motions.
I can't.
People have to.
You guys have to propose a motion. I was just asking to include Colorado, either Denver or Colorado
I'll
Springs.
make the motion to include Colorado Springs in our Colorado option.
Who was the second?
Peter Hugo. All right, so that, all, okay. So all in favor of using those two for an option, because we haven't gotten to the vote yet, say aye. All right. So do we have a motion to accept for Colorado? Because we have to vote now.
Well, so now it's where you want it.
It's vote. Do we have a motion on where you want to go, Colorado or?
We have a motion, period.
Do we have a motion, please? Mr. Abbott.
I move that we accept San Antonio as our location for the 2025 conference.
Okay, do we have a second? We have a second. Discussion? Okay, all in favor? San Antonio, I think we probably need to do this one by hands. Raise your hand if you are in support of San Antonio. It's going to count.
13 ayes.
15 ayes. Okay, and we have remaining
Go opposed.
opposed.
If you're opposed, that means you want to go to Colorado.
All right. Based on the number here at the convention this time, it looks like we will be having the convention in 2025 in San Antonio. Okay. We will set the dates as soon as we can for establishing and work with the vendors, and we will post everything on the website. And I will let the contingent know in Texas that we are coming. All right. So let me move on to the.
One question on it. The dates, is this going to be
For June,
the Monday, 23rd?
we will work to get the best rates, and then we will post. Our goal is probably going to be starting that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Coming on Sunday. That is the goal of the conference. That's all right. All right. Okay, so at this time, got just a couple minutes before the prelim start. 9, or they start at 10? Okay, so as we go to wrap up, thank you all for attending the last few business meetings. Getting this work done is crucial to our organization. Now that we have a site selected for next year, please get out there and encourage those coaches and let them know that we are going to be moving to a June conference, and we'll work to put the best conference together that possible for next year. So we'll start working on speakers, other ideas for that.
So the date is
It's that week.
It's that week of June 22nd. Because schools will be out pretty much around the country unless you're probably up in New Hampshire, New York, maybe Massachusetts. They may be going into July. So, good. All right. Okay. So at this time, I'm going to, do I have a motion? Do I have to take a motion to close the meeting? Motion to adjourn? Have a motion and second by the Silver Surfer. Mr. Collins? All right. All in favor? All right. Thank you all. Yes, I do know somebody who's going to be very, yes. Unless his wife is taking. Yes, they both are.